What's going on, everybody? Gem Mint here. It's the end of the week, so you know how we do it. We're going to count down our top 10 favorite comic books of the week, and as always, I've got my co-host, Rockin Robbie.
Yo, what's up, man? I didn't think this was the most solid week of comics, but it's always solid to be here with you, talking about it.
Yeah, man, this was a tough list to put together. There were a lot of underwhelming titles this week, and I think both of us have books on our list that wouldn't normally make it had it been a stronger week. But anyway, before we get into all that, make sure to hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video, and warning, we do go full on spoilers on this countdown. I'll set it off with my number 10, and I went with Batman Urban Legends issue 6, the book that has the most controversy in comics this week. But really, I put it on here, one, because it wasn't a strong week, but two, wrapping up the Chip Zdarsky Red Hood story. I think they did a good job. He brought it back to the emotional ties with the little boy, and he's now the Blue Hood. He's kind of like an honorable member of the Bat family now. I like the whole Cheer drop, Mr. Cheer thing with him stealing his wife's toxin, the toxin that helped Scarecrow create the fear toxin. I thought that was pretty solid. And the rest of the stories, I mean, I dug the Black Canary story, her going undercover, although as soon as she screams, isn't it obvious that she's Black Canary? And anyway, the Zealot story. Robbie, were you digging Zealot?
Man, you know I was digging Zealot. Zealot. You know I was digging any kind of reference to the Wildcats. I just want the Wildcats to have their own book. I liked Batman Urban Legends too, especially that Zdarsky story. It's a bit higher on my list, so I'll wait for that. My number 10 is Bettie Page and the Curse of the Banshee, number 3. So a friend of mine has actually got an exclusive of issue number 1 by artist Jae Lee. And so that kind of intrigued me to check out this book. And I did, and I read issue 1 and 2 in preparation for 3. And I rather like this series. I thought that this would be something way different than what it actually is. And what it actually is something very much akin to those Abbott and Costello films or those Universal monster films from the 40s. Bettie Page is a monster hunter. She's a monster fighter. Her and her partner are going over to Ireland to investigate this curse of the Banshee, and it's just really freaking fun. It's got decent, solid artwork. It's got a really nicely paced script. The characterization's on. It's not trying too hard to stretch and do something weird and something that it's not. It's doing exactly what it should be, and like I said, it was a throwback to me for some Abbott and Costello meet the Mummy, meet Frankenstein type hijinks, and I just absolutely adored it.
That's funny because I picked up Bettie Page Curse of the Banshee 1 because we were doing the exclusive, and I did really dig it. Unfortunately, my shop got shorted on issue 2, and then I just fell behind. But it was an interesting kind of like detective story mixed with monsters and things like that. And we still have a couple of days left on our Indiegogo campaign to secure a copy of our exclusive variant. I'm going to move on to number 9 now, and we're talking Spider-Man Spider Shadow, issue 5, Chip Zdarsky, the finale. If you saw my new comic book day reviews, you know I didn't really love the finale. I thought it was just okay. Reed Richards with the symbiote and all the other Fantastic Four members, except for Human Torch, and the Avengers are also taken over by symbiotes, but it's just a hive mind symbiote, so if you kill the main one, all the rest die. I mean, it was just okay. I really liked the end, that hook with Kingpin being introduced to the Carnage symbiote and him kind of deciding to maybe a bond with the symbiote. I thought that was pretty cool. It made the top 10 because of the lack of good books, in my opinion, but I don't know. Robbie, what do you think about the ending of Spider Shadow?
I thought it was all right. I thought that the book kind of lost some of its momentum after Peter Parker got rid of the symbiote. And it was interesting that it went on to Reed Richards, and that's incredibly scary. And the way that they used Johnny Storm to kind of take out the symbiote, I thought was rather clever. And it does have a really kind of gut-wrenching moment there. I mean, damn, how many times in comic books this week did we see a member of the Fantastic Four die?
Yeah, at the end of this week, we're down to Fantastic 2.
For my number 9, I'm going Defenders number 1. This is the start of a new miniseries. It's written by Al Ewing, and to be honest, I thought the story was okay. It didn't really entice me at first, but then as the story progressed, I got a little bit more into it, but mostly because I really kind of like this team: Silver Surfer, Red Harpy, Doctor Strange, the Masked Raider, something like that. Maybe that's kind of tied in that Marvel Comics 1000 thing that like nobody remembers. But then this character Cloud, have no idea who that person is. However, the artwork by Javier Rodriguez was astounding. I love this dude's composition. I love the way he can tell a story. Nobody does comics like this. It's almost like so experimental. It feels like something like you would see in The Sandman or a David Mack Kabuki comic or something, but still grounded in that superhero-ness, but being very psychedelic and innovative. I adored the artwork in this one. And so that's pretty much why it's on the top 10.
Yeah, the artwork carried this book for sure. I feel like the story was just like, whatever. Give Doctor Strange a reason to recruit the new Defenders team, which is kind of like the old Defenders team, but a little bit different. The tarot cards and everything. But yeah, the composition, the layouts were really unique. It gave me like Andrea Sorrentino vibes, but not as out there. But still good nonetheless. Moving on to number 8, I went with Ordinary Gods issue 2 by Kyle Higgins, proving he could do something besides Power Rangers. See? Radiant Black. Oh wait, that's kind of like Power Rangers too. See? Ordinary Gods. There's not much I can really talk about this issue that's spoilers, that's different than what I mentioned in the new comic book day reviews, but just picture this. Gods are from this realm, and for some reason the gods got put into the bodies of humans on Earth, and once they break free, once they get tapped like the Matrix, they find out who they are, who they're supposed to be, and I guess we don't really know what they do next, but it's kind of interesting. This guy, he basically has been tapped. His parents have been killed. His sister is really an undercover god, and she tried to kill him. So he's dealing with all of this while he's kind of still skeptical on what's even going on here. So kind of the people that are in the know showing him a real live god, which was pretty interesting. I think you could only see it with black lights, and they said black lights are good for more than just one thing, and I didn't know. They said posters, but I thought black lights were pretty good for other things as well. Anyway, it's on my list. Slow week, but I am digging Ordinary Gods.
You know, Ordinary Gods is actually one that Diamond shorted my shop this week, but it was already on the fence, so maybe I will check out issue 2 if we eventually get our replenishments. For my number 8, I'm going Batman Urban Legends number 6. Why? It's that Chip Zdarsky story, the Red Hood story. Why do I like Red Hood now? I've always hated Jason Todd. He's been my least favorite Robin. I've never liked him. I hated it when he came back, but over the last several stories involving him, like not Get Joker, but what's the Three Jokers? I already forgot about it, right? And then this one, I really liked the way it ended. It kind of set up a new direction, a new movement forward for the character of Jason Todd that I'm really on board with, and I'm excited for it. You got the Black Canary story that's tying into the Deathstroke Inc. book coming up. They got the Tim Drake story where they do what they do. We'll see how that unfolds. And then you got the Zealot story and, just anything with the Wildcats character. But I said this in my weekly review, and I'll say this again here. It's cool that we get all these Wildcat characters showing up buried in this Batman anthology, but wouldn't it just be cool if they just had a Wildcats book and it wasn't tied into Superman, Batman, or anything? It was just a Wildcats book back in the 90s and 2000s. Wouldn't that be cool?
Someone just get this man a Wildcats book already. Yeah, I like how they ended it. Red Hood deciding he doesn't want to use guns anymore, kind of making peace with Batman. Batman offering an olive branch, if you will. So, maybe something will come of that. I thought it was interesting as well. Moving on to number 7, I went with Detective Comics 1041, which I have been digging this whole time. And I know in my comments section, some people love it, some people absolutely hate it, but I thought it was strong. They kind of held back on the Vile character in this issue, which I really loved. I think it was the last issue or the one prior. But at the end, Batman gets hit with the Vile toxin or whatever you want to call it. He got hit with toxins a lot this week as well. I guess that's bound to happen when there's 7 Batman titles releasing in one week. But anyway, I kind of like that hook at the end with Batman potentially going to be, infected by this plant monster. Batman, like I said, he's down bad. He's got no more resources. He tries to go to his sewer location. It's been thrashed. People are finding him everywhere. It's like Bruce Wayne and Batman are hot. He can't go anywhere. So it's pretty interesting to see Bruce Wayne in this predicament. The artwork is amazing. It's up there, I think, with the main Batman title as far as that's concerned, at least for this issue.
Yeah, I was noticing that too. There's so many freaking Batman books out each month, in this week in particular. And in 3 of these Batman books, he's being gassed or infected with Vile toxin, fear toxin, or whatever the hell, cheer toxin, whatever the hell else they want to do, right? But I thought the issue's pretty solid, and it shines when Dan Mora is on the artwork. And how freaking cool was it to see him draw that classic Batman costume again? It just brought me back to my 80s days of playing with my superpower action figures and just sipping on some Ecto Cooler. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, do they have Ecto Cooler in the 80s? My number 7 is Red Sonja, Black, White, and Red. Number 2, I'm really liking this. So there's a lot of these color-themed anthologies running around. You got Batman Black and White, Wonder Woman Black and Gold, Superman Red and Blue, Wolverine, Deadpool and Carnage, Black, White, and Blood, and Red Sonja's got to get in on it. And I really like this. I think that this is a more solid book that's just got 3 stories in it. You got one by David Walker, that's solid. You got one by Jeff Parker, and that's pretty decent too. But the first story is by John Boy Myers. The artwork is kinetic and it pops. It is dynamic. It sizzles. I've never seen artwork this exciting and energetic on a Red Sonja book. It really blew me away. And I think that these are anthology comics done right, because you focus on getting really solid talents on all of the stories involved, and maybe not have like 8, just have like 3 solid stories. And looking at the lineup to come and last issue, they got some really talented people coming up.
I don't know why, it just makes me so happy when I see Dynamite books on our list. Shout out to Nick Barucci. Moving on to number 6, I went with Batman 89, issue 1. I mean, come on, if you grew up in the 90s like me, 80s babies, 90s child, it's so cool to see the Keaton mobile in a comic book, to see Michael Keaton, the Tim Burton Batman suit, and to shine light on Harvey Dent from this universe, which was very underutilized in those movies, and to see him now transform into Two-Face. It doesn't really happen right now, but it's funny to also see him being engaged to Barbara Gordon, and just that world, kind of what's going on in the city of Gotham. You know what I always liked about the Tim Burton Batman movies is that there was no origin. You were just dropped into that universe, and that's how we were dropped into this issue. You're just dropped into the middle of a regular day in Gotham. I believe this is after the Joker stuff, because somebody in the streets was wearing a Joker costume for Halloween, which was frowned upon. Anyway, the artwork is good because you can tell who the characters are supposed to be from the movies, and I'm just gonna have fun with this one.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to this one, and I gotta be honest, it let me down just a little bit. It just dropped us in the story. I really like the idea of seeing the Billy D. Williams, Harvey Dent become Two-Face. That's super cool, right? But I'm like kind of lost on it. So this is shortly after the first Batman movie, I'm assuming. Why does he have graying temples? That doesn't seem to line up. There's a lot of stuff going on that doesn't feel like it brought me back to that world from that first Tim Burton movie. For instance, Commissioner Gordon seems way more capable of a police talent in the comic book than he was in the movie. The movie's just kind of this bumbling buffoon. But I did think it was interesting that they're going to explore some of the ideas that Tim Burton would have eventually explored, that being Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face, and then even Marlon Wayans was going to be Robin, and that's the character that we see towards the end there. So I'm excited to see it go forward. I love that Jerry Ordway variant cover because it reminds me of that movie adaptation. So I did like it, but I was just a little bit let down. Maybe I was expecting too much out of a Batman 89 book, I don't know. For my number 6, I'm going Daredevil, number 33. A return to glory for me for Daredevil. I love this book. First of all, you don't really deal a lot with all the stuff about Matt Murdock in prison, right? That's like not really the big focus on what's going on there. And then it's focusing on the Elektra and the Bullseyes fight. There's a whole weird thing. Why are there multiple Bullseyes? They're still kind of alluding to it. Haven't really explained it all fully. But I liked it. Lots of action. Marco Cicchetto back on the artwork. It shines. And then you get to the end, and basically Daredevil's like taking over this prison because now he's found out that the warden was evil, and maybe that was the reason why he was there the whole time. But I really, really solidly liked this book, and it kind of got back on track for me.
Yeah, Daredevil 33 was legit. It's a little bit higher on my list, so I'll give my thoughts when we get to it. We're halfway through the list, so before I move on to number 5, a quick word from our sponsor. Cheap Graphic Novels is your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They pride themselves on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain bin for even greater deals up to 90% off cover price. CGN is excited to announce that they're now taking pre-orders. They're making it easier for you to ensure that you don't miss out on the hottest releases. Cheap Graphic Novels is currently running a special promotion for the Geminites. If you're a first-time customer, let them know that you were referred by Gem Mint Collectibles at checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. This promotion is only valid for the United States. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discounts and quality shipping and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. All right, guys, number 5 is The Joker, issue 6, James Tynion in the 4th. I really dug this issue. I like kind of seeing Commissioner Jim Gordon out of his element and him trying to play by the rules that are set for him, and then him saying, screw it. You know what? I got to get boots on the ground. I got to call Harvey back at Gotham, get him to help me on this. I got the black card. I'm charging up whatever I want to charge up. Even like the interaction with him trying to eat at the fancy restaurant and him kind of like describing the scene on how people are looking at him a certain way. They know he doesn't belong there. Now, my only thing was he's trying to find Joker. I mean, he already found Joker. He's trying to re-find him. I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird, but I kind of dug this. This was kind of like a nice Jim Gordon issue, which I guess is the whole series, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I thought the issue was pretty decent. I just didn't feel like it was as strong as the first 4. I thought the first 4 issues were super strong. I was kind of let down in the last one. This one kind of let me down a little bit too. Just a lot of dialogue, just a lot of Gordon reflecting on his past, revealing events that we didn't really know, but didn't really reveal anything that we didn't really know. So for me, Joker was just all right this week. For my number 5, I'm going A Man Among Ye, number 6. This is a Top Cow Image book. It's written by Stephanie Phillips, got artwork by Josh George. I really like the book. It's a nice, fun pirate adventure. It's about Anne Bonny, the famous pirate or whatever. In the first arc, she was on a ship with this dude, Captain something. I think he's a known pirate. I don't know. I've never really been that big into pirate history or pirate fiction, but this is a really fun comic book. It's got excellent line work, really great pacing. It's light, easy, breezy, beautiful cover girl to read. I actually really solidly like it. If you like pirates, if you like that kind of adventure, swashbuckling fun, women power type stuff, because it's mostly about these women pirates and the people after them, but then there's an assassin sent after them in this issue, and she is like really badass. So beautifully rendered artwork, great stuff. I think it's a super solid book.
You know, I'm not really reading that title.
But I don't want to be a pirate.
Anyway, moving on to my number 4, I'm going Daredevil 33. I really dug this issue, and less about the Matt Murdock stuff, but more about Elektra, her fighting these bullseye clones. We kind of see who's behind the clones, him being made in the test tube, but I really like the fact that she gets got. He gets her with like a gut slice with this knife, and she knows the only way to get some backup is to make some noise. So she takes out the gun, sounds off that pistol, and then you got Spider-Man and Iron Man show up to help her as she's blacking out. I just thought it was really well done, the way that scene played out. I love the artwork here. And yeah, Matt Murdock is like the Johnny Blaze of hell. He's like the king of jail on his throne of debris. Like, that kind of went from 0 to 60 real quick. But yeah, I thought it was a solid issue. Good fight scenes. Definitely interested to see where Chip goes with it. But I would like to get out of this arc sometime soon if we can.
You know, at least it feels more like we're closer to the end of that arc, the whole in prison stuff. Like, I would like to see more of this Elektra stuff explored. But yeah, the Matt Murdock in prison stuff was running a bit thin, but I don't know. Maybe I like this issue in particular because they didn't really deal with that too much, right? For my number 4, I'm going Black's Myth, number 2 from Ahoy Comics. This is written by Eric Palicki. It's a really fun private investigator detective book. It's about a PI. She's a werewolf. Her partner, he's a djinn, like a genie demon type thing. And they're in this world of like supernatural type stuff. And they've been asked to complete this mission to try to find these 30 bullets that are silver. They're silver bullets, and they were made from the pieces of silver that Judas got for betraying Jesus or something like that, right? So it's got this really cool kind of paranormal, supernatural kind of feel to it. It's detective. It's a black and white comic book, and it doesn't lean too heavy into the noir tropes. It actually just feels that way without leaning too heavy into the artistic renditions or anything like that. It's just a nice, fun, solid book, excellently paced, well executed, a really nice, tight script, interesting characters, and a lot of supernatural elements, varying things, vampires and other kinds of monsters and stuff all thrown together. It's kind of like Buffy and Supernatural in a comic book form, but like really good.
That's a book that just has never been on my radar. I didn't read the prior issue. I don't know. Doesn't really sound like something I'd really be into. Moving on to number 3, I went with the Silver Coin, issue 5. Love this book. It did everything I wanted it to do. It tied in loosely with what happened in one of the previous issues with this guy who came to a town that was inhabited by a witch. Now, this witch was a good witch. She was healing people. She was like the neighborhood doctor. This guy comes through, calls her a witch, and the whole town turns on her, straight Twitter mob style. She gets burned at the stake, but before she does, she curses a coin, one of the coins that this man gave one of the women to sell her out, and it starts deforming her right away. Her goat bites her, and she starts getting all these tumors or welts or whatever you want to call it. It's moving all over her body, and she's basically getting her dues paid. I thought it was a super cool origin of the coin, and to think that this coin back in, what is this got to be, the 1600s or something like that, and how far in the future we saw it go in one of the prior issues. I believe the Jeff Lemire issue. Totally love the afterword. What's his name? Michael Walsh, kind of saying how, listen, this is all I wrote up to in case the book didn't sell, but hey, it did pretty good, so we got another arc coming. And he name dropped all these other writers. There were some good ones in there that I'm looking forward to. Great anthology series, amazing artwork with all these different, pretty much the top writers of our day.
Yeah, I actually really like this issue of Silver Coin. It's a bit higher on my list, so I'll save it for that. For my number 3, I'm going to go on about By the Horns, number 4. This book has been amazing. Every time it's been out since we've been doing this top 10 gem, I have mentioned it. I love this book. It's from Scout Comics. It's about a woman whose lover was killed by unicorns. So now she goes out there and hunts down monsters, including unicorns, so she can kill them. All right? She's got this like mystical fox creature that follows her around and talks to her. She befriends this giant floating eye with all these new powers that they keep revealing. And she finds out that she has to overthrow this like evil empire wizard warlock kind of guy, right? And she actually has to save the unicorns from him. So now she's teamed up with these 2 unicorns who are just trying to help her, just trying to find their missing people. But at the same time, she still hates these fuckers, man. Unicorns must die. This book, By the Horns, number 4, is great. This is an action-packed issue. It's got some of the best artwork you're going to find on a comic book page, some of the best perfectly paced writing. Bruh, By the Horns. This book blows me away.
Them unicorns, man. My number 2, I'm going with Justice League Last Ride, Chip Zdarsky. Okay, we're back to where I wanted us to go. Issue 1 was big. Issue 2 and 3, I don't know what they were doing. Issue 4 was a touching issue. We see why Martian Manhunter was killed. He sacrificed himself because Superman wasn't able to get from Earth to Apokolips in time, or was it the other way around? Epic battle with Superman and Darkseid. And just what Jeff Johns had to do, and Batman didn't want him to do it. Everyone's blaming Batman like it was his fault, but John Johns made the ultimate sacrifice. Even though Superman still left Darkseid and tried to shoot over to save Martian Manhunter, but he couldn't. But anyway, this is the finale of Justice League. This is their last ride. This is like the end of the line for them in this type of Elseworld story. I think it's big and fun, like Zdarsky knows how to do.
What if John Jones was Jeff Johns? Chip Johns. Anyway, I really like this book. I thought it was super cool. I loved that you got that big action explosiveness. Seeing what happened to Martian Manhunter, it was heart-wrenching. It was terrible to watch. It was a terrible situation. The big epic, it felt loud, it felt big, and it felt important, right? Even though it's just an Elseworlds kind of tale, it felt important. And that's what I think a lot of superhero books were really lacking in this week, was that kind of feel and that emotional content. Thought it was another solid issue of Last Ride. They're kind of going Fast and Furious style. One last ride, right? For my number 2, I'm going The Unbelievable Unteens. This is from the world of Black Hammer. So it's written by Jeff Lemire with artwork by Tyler Crook. So Black Hammer has kind of completed their first initial whole big story, and now they're focusing on all these other little stories that reference comic books from the times that they're trying to represent, represent. That's a good enough word. This one is about a woman who's writing a comic book called The Unbelievable Unteens, and then one of the characters from the comic book shows up in her studio one day. She's blown away. She's like, whoa, she thinks it's just a cosplayer, crazy fanatic fan or something, but it's actually one of the characters from the book, and he tells her, yo, we're real, and you are one of us, and nobody remembers who they are. So it's an interesting little twist there. It's got great, amazing artwork by Tyler Crook. The color work in this was absolutely amazing. It was a really cool concept, and a perfectly executed first issue of a Black Hammer series, which is not uncommon, because it's Jeff Lemire.
I don't know how I've never even heard of this. Love Jeff Lemire. I haven't read his Black Hammer series, though, but Unbelievable Unteens sounds interesting. My number 1, my pick of the week, Fantastic Four Life Story issue 3. I really did like this issue. It was touching. We get the death of Johnny Storm here. You have like the Russian missile crisis. I like this version of Reed. I like this obsessed that Galactus is coming Reed Richards, that he loses Sue to Namor of all people. And you have him trying to tell the government, kind of like Iron Man tried to tell the Avengers, we need a shield around the Earth. And they're like, yeah, but what if you point the shield the other way at Russia? It's like, what? No, like we have to face Galactus that's coming. So it was dope, man. You had touching stuff. They really set up the death well, because you had Uncle Johnny with Franklin Richards getting him out of school when he got in trouble, or he was in juvie or something like that. It was pretty touching, kind of like a similar Justice League Last Ride. Like the Fantastic Four and the Avengers, they reform. Sue even joins the Fantastic Four to go stop these missiles. What was it? Earth sending it to Russia, Russia sending it to America. Anyway, but then the other side shoots a lone missile. No one can make it in time but Johnny. So he does the Martian Manhunter, the ultimate sacrifice. And this is the 80s. Issue 4 is going to be the 90s, and it looks like Galactus comes in the 90s. So definitely interested to see what happens the next time. I enjoyed this one. It was heartfelt. It was gut-wrenching. And we had 2 Fantastic Four deaths in 1 week.
Yeah, I like this issue of Fantastic Four Life Story, especially because of that ending, the sacrifice of Johnny, the way that they did the characterization of it building up, because it was narrated by him as well, right? The one thing that I'm not really quite digging on this Life Story Fantastic Four thing is I really like in the Spider-Man one how Chip Zdarsky as the writer would reflect what was going on at the times, like with the 70s vibe and what was going on in Spider-Man comics at the time. And in the 80s, he gets the black costume. They're not really approaching it that way here. They're just kind of like Dr. Doom's not even really Dr. Doom yet, right? But I still like the issue, but I did think it was a really like non-action heavy at the beginning, but it all was building up to that end, which I thought was actually incredibly well done. Some might even say fantastically so. My number 1, Silver Coin, number 5. This is a book that I haven't really been that excited about for the last 2 issues. I loved the first 2 issues, an anthology series, the same artist, different writers coming in, telling a story about the silver coin. It's cursed. And the first one and second one blew me away. The third one I thought was okay, but the fourth one just really kind of lost me. And I was really surprised because that's a Jeff Lemire one. I know you really liked it, right? So I wasn't that excited to read this one, and this is the, like Jim said, this is the origin of that cursed coin. It's set back in the 1600s during the witch trials, whatnot. Michael Walsh wrote this one himself, and I loved it. It goes back to making a bit more sense of how the coin is involved and how it becomes involved. It's got some great moments. Yo, when that cow kicked that dude, I was just like, go! Yeah, I said cow. I meant a horse. I know the difference between a horse and a cow. Silver Coin number 5, though, was a really great one-and-done, self-contained story. Even if you haven't read a single issue yet, you could pick it up here. And yeah, you're right. Michael Walsh is going to continue the story in a little bit. We got Joshua Williamson coming on. We got Ram V. I'm really excited now, again, for Silver Coin. And for me, it was the best issue of the week.
Yeah, that's well deserved. I definitely dug Silver Coin as well. But guys, let us know what your favorite comics were in the week in the comments down below. Remember, we got a giveaway going on for our next subscriber milestone of 150K. We're giving away Deja Thoris. So make sure to comment on as many videos as possible. Once we hit the milestone, I'll pick a random video where I promoted the giveaway and use a random YouTube comment generator to draw a worldwide winner. Robbie, let them know what you got going on over there over at PCP.
Oh man, you know, same old comic book reviews, movie reviews, chats with creators, whether they're on YouTube or whether they're creating comic books. Lots of fun planned for Pop Culture Philosophers. I just hope everybody has a great free comic book day. Go out there, be safe, grab some good comics, and spend some money at your shop too. They have to pay a lot to put those on, so they would really appreciate it. But everybody have fun. We appreciate it. Stay safe.
Definitely pick up the Avengers Hulk free comic book day, the Spider-Man Venom for sure. And the Batman one was incredible. Don't go anywhere, guys. Check out last week's top 10 if you missed it in the playlist to the right. Check out my new comic book day reviews from this week if you missed it, and subscribe to both channels. Peace.